At 5:01 a.m., a single 5-pound quadcopter corkscrews through the freezing air above Taganrog, Russia, dodging 4,000 rounds per minute from a Pantsir S-1. Its pilot has 12 seconds to slip this plastic drone through a hangar door before it closes for good. Inside sits a Tu-95 nuclear bomber worth $45 million. To understand this moment, we need to rewind 94 seconds. The target is the Beriev aircraft plant, about 50 miles from the Ukrainian border. It services and upgrades Russia's strategic bombers and is guarded by S-400 missiles and heavy electronic warfare systems. But those defenses share a fatal weakness. The hangar door password is still set to the factory default. Now, a swarm of 20 drones is about to exploit that single mistake. Roughly $12,000 worth of plastic and electronics is going up against $500 million worth of Russian steel. The attack starts at 5 a.m. 20 FPV drones lift off from near the Ukrainian coastline and immediately fight an 18-knot crosswind threatening to flip their 5-pound frames. The air is 23 degrees Fahrenheit. That kind of cold is a battery killer. It raises internal resistance in the lithium polymer packs, draining energy roughly 15% faster than normal. The pilots have to lean on the throttle just to maintain level flight. They drop to an altitude of 30 feet, skimming above the white caps of the Sea of Azov. At this height, the curvature of the Earth hides them from long-range radar, but they're still vulnerable to short-range thermal cameras. This is where the software takes over. The drones aren't flying in neat military formation. They're running a biomimicry algorithm trained on 3 days of traffic camera footage from Taganrog. Instead of straight mechanical lines, their paths drift and weave with the gusts. To a Russian operator watching a thermal scope, this looks less like a coordinated strike and more like a flock of local cormorants hunting for fish. The mimicry works almost too well. 3 miles from shore, a real steppe eagle mistakes a rearguard drone for a rival. It dives at nearly 80 miles per hour. On the pilot's grainy 480p analog feed, talons fill the screen. He instinctively slams the roll stick right. The drone snaps inverted, pulling around 4G. The eagle misses by inches, clawing at empty air as the quadcopter tumbles, recovers, and slots back into the swarm. They cross into Russian airspace. The real test begins. At 5:02 a.m., 3 miles from the target, the S-400 complex wakes up. Its massive 91 N6E radar, built to track hypersonic missiles in the stratosphere, finally filters out the sea clutter and locks onto the group. The automated system doesn't see 20 tiny drones, it sees one dense, low-flying cruise missile. A 40 N6 interceptor roars out of its tube. In 2 seconds, it's at roughly Mach 6, about 4,600 miles per hour. Russia just launched a $1.2 to $2 million missile the size of a telephone pole at a $600 carbon fiber toy. The missile is simply too fast to precisely engage something this small and slow. It overshoots the swarm by about 400 feet, but its radar proximity fuse triggers the warhead. A shockwave traveling at the speed of sound slams into the formation with about 5 psi of overpressure. 3 drones are instantly smashed out of the sky, their frames snapping like twigs under an invisible hammer. On operators' screens, 3 video feeds turn to static. The remaining 17 pilots don't panic. They flip a preset evasion mode. The swarm explodes outward into 8 different vectors, splitting that single large radar signature into 17 tiny ones. The giant S-400 radar can track cruise missiles and jets, but not a cloud of cheap ghosts hugging the ground. At 5:03 a.m., the survivors cross the factory perimeter fence. They've entered the kill zone of the Pantsir S-1 mounted on the roof of the main assembly hall. Its twin 30mm cannons roar, spewing 4,000 rounds per minute. A wall of high-explosive tungsten tracers slices through the dark like a chainsaw. The 17 drones dive into the industrial forest. They weave between 150-foot smokestacks, using them as physical shields. The air around the stacks is filthy and turbulent, twisting the drones as they try to hold course. Every time one peeks out from behind concrete, the Pantsir's tracking radar snaps onto it. One drone gets cut off from the pack. A stream of 30mm shells rips the air in front of it. With no room to bank left or right, the pilot punches straight ahead, threading the quadcopter through a narrow gap in a massive Berea of aviation billboard. The shockwave from a near miss cracks the camera lens, spider-webbing the image, but the drone holds. Then, the pilots see their chance. The Pantsir has a mechanical blind spot. Its radar and guns can't point straight up. There's a 15-degree cone of silence above the turret. The Ukrainians slam their motors to max and climb hard into that overhead dead zone. The cannons go silent. The Pantsir has burned through its ammunition in 28 seconds. The barrels glow cherry red. The autoloader needs exactly 12 seconds to feed fresh belts. This is the golden window. 5:04 a.m. Inside the hangar, fluorescent lights flicker on, illuminating two Tu-95 strategic bombers. They look like sleeping giants, silver fuselages gleaming under the lights, unaware that their executioners are hovering just outside. Russian operators scramble. The Pantsir commander, realizing his guns are dry and the hangar is opening, screams into the radio. The order goes to the electronic warfare truck in the courtyard. Burn it. Burn the air. The Krasuka 4 system spools up to full power. This isn't just a radio, it's a directed energy jammer. Its dish swings toward the swarm and unleashes megawatts of broadband noise. The signal is so intense that fluorescent bulbs in a nearby guard shack pop and die. On the Ukrainian side, the nightmare starts. The high-definition video feeds don't just glitch, they vanish. Screens become walls of white static, GPS dies, telemetry flatlines. For the human pilots, the next 8 seconds feel like an hour. They're flying blind in a 20-knot wind. Only muscle memory keeps the drones in the air. One pilot fights every instinct telling him to pull up, knowing that without visual cues, his inner ear will lie to him. He holds the stick steady, sweat stinging his eyes, feeling the quad drift in the wind. Somewhere in the static, he hears a crash over the comms. Drone 7 has just drifted into a light pole and disintegrated. But the Russians are fighting the last war. The Krasuka 4 creates a deafening wall of noise on standard military frequencies. It's like trying to stop a whisper by screaming. The Ukrainians don't shout back, they murmur. Onboard AI detects the jamming and activates frequency hopping. The drones stop using a single channel. Instead, their radios start to dance, hopping between 900 MHz, 2.4 GHz, and 5.8 GHz, switching frequencies about 18 times per second in a pseudo-random pattern only their receivers know. 6 miles offshore, a fixed-wing mothership drone circles at 5,000 feet. It catches these scattered whispers, acts as a mesh relay, reassembles the fragmented data, and beams a clean, tight laser link back to the operators. The Russian jammer can't even see that link, much less block it. Suddenly, the static clears. Video snaps back to crisp 1080p. The pilots inhale like they've been underwater. The hangar door is now 8 feet open, a narrow frame around the nose gear of the lead bomber. The jammer is still dumping megawatts into empty air, unaware of the conversation has moved somewhere it can't reach. The lane is open. At 5:05 a.m., 10 surviving drones slip under the rising hangar door into Bay 3. The instant they cross the threshold, the flight environment changes. Inside, the air is a chaotic vortex of swirling dust and debris. The drones are thrown around like leaves in a storm drain. Pilots fight the sticks by millimeters to keep from slamming into concrete or steel. The scene inside is pandemonium. Ground crews and guards are running. They can see the drones now. 10 black hornets roaring inside a metal echo chamber. A soldier shoulders an Igla-S man-pads. Panicking, he triggers the laser designator, painting a lead drone with a green dot. It's pointless. The Igla-S can't engage anything closer than about 500 meters. At this distance, he might as well be aiming a laser pointer at a fly. Other guards open up with AK-75s. 5.45mm rounds ricochet off rafters and concrete, turning the hangar into a lethal pinball machine. The pilots ignore the gunfire. They're not hunting people. They're hunting chemistry. The lead drone ignores the gleaming fuselage of the Tu-95 and drops left, targeting a wheeled cart under the wing root. On that cart, a cluster of high-pressure oxygen cylinders used for welding. The drone slams in at around 80 miles per hour. Its shaped card's warhead detonates,